So out of set 3, this deck's kind of like the deck that I've been tinkering with the most, or not tinkering with per se, but like kind of like the deck that like I first built out of set 3, or I first like laid my hands on, put my mind to it, type of deal. Cause I did open like what 3 or 4 pre-release kits, and I think out of the first one or the second one, I had a complete FLAGBURG deck. So I'm like, oh sweet, I can play one of the new decks. Let me build this boy up. And it was just very fun and interesting to figure out all the different like the lines of play and the combos that you can do with this deck. I'm like, this is a really enjoyable deck to play. Like, is it the best? No, not right now, but like with future support, it can literally only get better because of the Vanguard's ability. Like, all it needs is just slightly better support cards and not to be so piece reliant, and this deck is it's literally a threat because it's Aquaforce, or it's a homage to Aquaforce. But yeah, let's get into the profile. Shout outs to my boy Eddie, because I know he wanted to see this profile real bad, or he just wanted to see my thoughts on it. So let's go on to the main deck. Of course, you need to max out on the Persona Ride, especially since right there, yeah, right there's good. Especially since you do need a copy of FLAGBURG, or a copy of the Grade 1, so that when you pull out the Grade 2 and you ride FLAGBURG, you don't have to Soul Blast once, so it leaves you with at least one soul to do plays with. If not, you're going to be soulless, and you're just going to have to rely on your Ascent Assaults to kind of get you there, which is not terrible, because I prefer Ascent Assault over Aggress Blue. I hate that card. I hate Aggress Blue so much because it relies on your opponent having a rear guard. It can attack. Oh, like what are you gonna like? What if you're facing a matchup like Barrow Magnus, one of my favorite decks of all time, that he can like make disappearing rears. You don't have anything to attack, so it's not gonna necessarily help you get to the 5th battle. But of course, you're maxing out your copies of Ascent Assault. You're maxing out your copies of Aggress Blue, and I've seen people cut this card down to 2, or maybe like straight up not playing it, but you're maxing out your copies of a High Tide. Now, the reason that I'm maxing out High Tide is because on your Persona Ride turns, or on your 4 to 5 attack turns in general, it can either be a starter or an extender. Now, what do I mean by that? This can either help you reach the 4 or 5 attacks that you want to reach for that turn, or it can, or if you have the if you have the resources, that this can be an extender in the terms it can get you a 6th attack off. So that's why I'm running it at 4. It's just very crucial that you see like you see two of any of these cards. Well, like one of this, because it can't work with it. You double up on High Tides, but you can double up on any other card to get you to the 5th battle. If not, if you only have one of any of these cards, you can only get to the 4th battle. But ideally, you want to do 5 battle every turn, just so you can rank the goal is to rack up your opponent's damage, to whereas when they do block this guy, they have to use 4 cards if they're gonna PG it, or they have to use 3 cards. And then you want to max out on your prize Trident. He's your countercharger. He goes to Soul. He helps you because you do Soul Blast quite a lot in this deck to get your main combo off. So it's just very important that you also have this card for your main combo. If you're going to the 5 attack, which preferably you want to do the 5 attack, right? Because at least for me personally, the 4 attack is, if you can only go for the 4 attack, like it's nice to go for it. If you, let's say like your opponent has like rears you really need to get rid of, but if you really can't make the 5 attack, you're kind of technically playing like old school Aquaforce, because I would rather just swing with my Vanguard first, stack triggers on Ascent Assault, and then swing with Ascent, swing with a rear guard to Vanguard, then swing with Ascent again. That's the way at least I would do it. And then you're playing 4 copies of Admantis. Now this is another combo enabler, to where it's it's a combo enabler in the sense that it's gonna let your attacks actually hit. It's gonna let your attacks actually hit versus, let's say, this by itself. No, not let's say a Scent Assault swinging Vanguard unboosted is not gonna hit unless you went first, is what I'm saying. In terms of, this is a combo enabler because it's going to give it +5. It's going to swing for at least 15. You are weak to damage triggers. That's the sucky thing about this deck. But if you do have Aggress Blue, it's not too bad because you could swing at the front row rears. But again, like if you're playing against, because of your retire skill, most people aren't going to call too big of a board against you. So most of the time the front row rears are the only thing they have really to retire, which is why I really don't like Aggress Blue. But you have to run it to get, to maximize your chances of getting the whole 5-attack combo off. But most of the time the front row rears, maybe they'll have one back row rear, unless like it's a strategy that like it needs a full board. They're not gonna go full board on you because you could just easily like pick apart the board like, cake. But these are the cards that you kind of, at least until set 4 comes out, that you kind of just have to max out on, because maxing these cards out give you the highest potential of doing a successful 5 to 4 attack combo. Especially Persona Ride. Persona Ride is just so key in this deck to be another enabler to make those little poke attacks you're doing a little bit bigger and make sure that they hit. That's the key for this deck, is just making sure those first few attacks hit. It's scary if you don't, if your opponent doesn't check a damage trigger at least early enough, because the sweet spot that your opponent wants to be at is like 3. So if they're like, they start at 2, they might take 1, see if they'll chance the damage trigger. But most of the time they'll stay at 3 so they could safely take the Vanguard attack and not expend any more cards. But yeah, these are the cards that you kind of just have to max out on for now, at least I feel. And this last 4 cards that I show you are kind of like a flex spot of, technically you can play whatever you want. I mean, it's your deck, you can play whatever you want, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing from playtesting the deck, and what I've learned is playing 2 of Red Bloom Girl and then 2 of Spiritual Body Condensation. Ooh, I do not like that glare. I do not like that glare at all. Let's put the body, let's just put them right here. Now, Bloom Girl, the reason that you want to play 2, I've seen some lists that max out copies of her, which is technically not wrong, because you're not guaranteed to have the Persona Ride in hand to reveal. So when you're starting your first combo, 4 or 5 attacks, you're going to have no soul. But most of the time that's okay, because I usually like to start my first combo with Scent Assaults. Or if I do have the Persona Ride, then I'll use, and if they do have, the keyword, if they do have a front row rear, then I'll use the Aggress Blue plus a Scent Assault, and then I'll save the extra Scent Assaults for a bigger push next turn. But I wouldn't play more than 2, at least personally, because if you're really like, if you're dying for soul, like if you're dying for soul, whereas you have at least 1 soul, this can turn into this, which gives you 2 more soul to do your plays. Like, say if you have 1 soul, but you need a High Tide and Aggress Blue to activate your plays. Well, you're gonna Soul Blast 1, call out Bloom Girl, you're gonna Soul Charge 2 because your soul's empty, and then you're gonna High Tide on the Bloom Girl, and then call down the Aggress Blue, and then that's how you get your 5 attacks. Or Spiritual Body Condensation just gets you any piece that you're missing. Like if you're missing the counter charge, like say you don't have enough counterblast for your plays, if you are missing the Scent Assault, because honestly the Scent Assault is just your most powerful restander, because it can attack anything and it's not restricted by battle number, where High Tide, it is restricted by, it has to be the first battle to restand. It can attack anything, but it has to be the first battle, which kind of like sucks because you can't really like stack High Tide to get more than 6 attacks. But that's just kind of the way it is with this deck. But I found like 2 of the Bloom Girl is like a really good number. I wouldn't play 3 or 4 because then you'll just run into situations where is you do have soul because of Prize Trident. You do have soul because let's say you were lucky enough and you were able to reveal. And it's just kind of like, it feels bad, like, oh, I would rather this be something else I could use in this turn. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm only playing 2 of her and then 2 of Spirit Condensation. I was for a while playing, what's that called? The Juice card. Damn, I'm so bad with names. I'm sorry, guys. The Juice card, the red Juice card. It's the card that, like, if you have 15 or more in drop, that it gives a rear guard +5 for every 5 cards in drop, and if you have 15 more, it gives it a crit. I was playing that for a while. Like, I was playing 2 of this and then 2 of that, but there was just too many situations where I saw it early. I had to pitch it because it's just super important that you keep your combo pieces in hand because you need so many of them to get your turn off. Like, you need 1 of each of these, or 2. You need like these 3 cards, you need 1 of each or 2, like in any combination of 2. You need at least 1 Prize Trident just to feed your soul, and because you're so counterblast heavy, you're using 2 to 3 counterblast every turn. So you do need Prize Trident, and then you're not guaranteed Persona, so you kind of do need to add Mantises as well. So you see, that's kind of like, that's 4 cards already that you need for your main combo, to whereas you really just, there were so many scenarios where I just couldn't afford to hold on to it if I did see it early. I saw it late game, it was great. You know, I was able to swing with a Scent Assault twice, or maybe 3 times with a crit if I was able to high tide with it as well. And, you know, it did help close out games, but it's just an issue of what matters more in terms of reaching your main goal. Going on to the triggers and the perfect guards. Nothing much to say. I don't like that glare. I mean, it's perfect guards. You know what it is. You know, you want to max out on 4 PGs. If you early mulligan, if you see them, you really need a hard mulligan these back. You really can't afford to see a PG. Obviously, the STOICHEIA over trigger, just because it nets you 2 draw, you really do need to see your pieces. It's super important. And then I do see other builds that aren't playing. Let me see, where can I put this that it won't be too bad? I think I can put it, yeah, I'll put it right there. That aren't playing 8 critical triggers. They're playing like 7, and then they're playing, let me just show you, 4 heal, and then it can go right there. Then 3 draw. They aren't playing the 8 critical triggers. They're playing like 7, and then they're playing 4 draw. In playing this deck, there are situations where I found that the critical would have been way more useful on the draw. It was on FLAGBURG swings. When, you know, they'd be like, oh, I'll just take the attack, I'm at 3. You put them to 5, and then you Persona Ride next turn, and then you basically do what you did last time, except they can't take a single hit. You're swinging at their Vanguard 4 to 5 times, they can't take a single hit. And then the last one is guard restricted. So that was the idea. You want to max out. It's just literally, it's old Aquaforce. You max out on the critical triggers because you want to get them to 5 as soon as possible, so that you push them into that scenario of they can't take a single hit. So, you know, playing the draws over the fronts, it sucks that you don't have that extra shield to rely on, but it's just so crucial that you do see your pieces. Because you need so many, you need 3 to 4 cards to do your main combo. And I'm not saying that technically you don't have to do your combo every turn to push. Like, if it's early game and you really don't value the combo at all, you can literally just call an Scent Assault, call another rear, swing with the Scent Assault, swing swing with the Vanguard first, and like stack triggers on the Ascent Assault. But that's kind of like the best you can do. Like you're relying on, it sucks because you're relying on triggers to make the Ascent Assault scary. Like if you check a crit, which you're running 8 of, then you can swing twice with the Ascent Assault with a crit. Yeah, it's a very combo heavy deck, a very piece reliant deck. I like it because of that it's so like I like the combo aspect of it, that you need to chain these cards off of each other to make your ideal thing work. The only thing is that like it dies to retire. Like if your opponent has massive retire, massive board disruption, basically the 4 cards you use to do your turn, you need to have those same 4 cards again next turn, which is like unrealistic because the deck really isn't drawing that many cards. You also have to factor in shield. Like a lot of times in the early game you're discarding shield because you have to keep pieces, so the shield is very low in this deck as well. Don't get me wrong, when it pops off, it pops off, but for now it is a really fun combo deck to play. But honestly, I really want it to be tier 2 competitive, but it's honestly it's a tier 3 deck. It's functioning, it's 100% functioning, but what it does, like getting the combo off isn't always gonna win you the game, at least without the help of critical triggers in the right specified moments, and your opponent not getting damage triggers to shut off your poke attacks. So yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say with FLAGBURG. Eddie, let me know your thoughts down below. Like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm also gonna be profiling Gravidia, Gravidia. Real quick, Gravidia is like literally the best of the 3 new decks. It's so good. It literally has the most potential. Gravidia is Red Eyes, low key. JK, about.